Alright, hey everybody, this is Jeff with Warrior Trading. I'm going to work on my watch list for Monday. It's easy, it's a very short watch list where I have not a lot of high probability setups that we were left with on Thursday, which is okay. We'll go over why and we'll look at the setups that were there. Earlier this week and last week we were looking at the S&P. This is daily chart of the S&P. What I was concerned with was this pretty obvious level of resistance here at 205. Right after we broke through the 200 moving average resistance area, the next obvious spot was going to be that 205 spot. So once we tested it here, this big extended run up from the lows, we tapped it 3 or 4 times, failed to get through that area, and then ultimately we started rolling over. So seeing that the market was a little top heavy right here, unable to punch through that resistance area, you can see just like down here when we tested the 200 moving average, the $200, 200 moving average and the $200 whole number area, which is right about here actually. When we tested this area, we pulled back off of it before breaking through. So we made another move up. Now we're consolidating sideways. We have a little pullback to support here. And then I think the next push we'll get through 205, and that's great. But this provided us with a lot of short-term opportunities to load the boat with negative delta trades. And that's what we did. FedEx, we did a bear put spread on Tesla. Had a huge winner on Tesla today. Which was also a major run up here prior to the market hitting this 205 resistance area. So what we were looking at here was Tesla coming into this resistance top after this big move up off the bottom here, just ridiculous moonshot. And then sure enough it failed, rolled over, and we had to pull back right here to the 200 moving average. So we were in up here with our put spread, and we were out by the time it tapped the moving average, locked up 54% in a couple days, so that was a great trade. Another one was on FedEx, same kind of thing here, big earnings gapper, ran in ridiculous oversold territory, still in oversold territory with an RSI around 76, but again we're out of this one too, a little 30% winner on this. Same kind of thing, we saw this top right here, we threw in a bear put spread on this once it hit resistance here, and you can see it hit that same resistance spot there before failing. Again, this was all timed intentionally with the roll of the SPY here. So like any good reversal setup, you don't just want to have extended overbought or oversold conditions on a stock. You also want to have the market trending in your favor. Trading counter trend is hard enough. When you're trading reversals intraday, market might be moving up and something else is moving up so much to the point where it's become overbought intraday, and you look to short a pullback. Those are hard enough trades because the market is still very strong overall, so the pullback can vary, but it's always nice to get a timed move with the market. So when the market's pulling back, your stock is pulling back, and everything seems to accelerate a little bit quicker. You get a little bit more resolution. It's a little bit cleaner of a trade. So that's what we timed for on Tesla and FedEx. We nailed those trades, and we nailed the market rolling over here. And looking ahead to next week, after we ran the scans this afternoon, we were left with a few names, a couple of small cap stocks here. CBK was one of them. Never traded this name before, not super familiar with it, but I do like this big flag that we have here just under the $3 area. You can see that we have found support now around this 215 mark. The 20 moving average is just below at 214. So really what we're looking for here is a move through this range between the two. Well, let's see, we're going to get long on this bad boy over the top of this little spike right here. So over the top of 240, we're looking for that move into $3. Let me zoom this bad boy in. All right, so we're going to hit the 200 moving average right here. We're looking to get long on this over the previous day's high, as this is a nice little bull flag pullback here. We want to grab it as close to support on the way back up. We don't want to grab it early. Grab it too early, we risk it coming down and breaking support. So we want to grab it on the way up. We want to buy into strength, and we want to scale in, and we'll sell into strength on this move to $3. It's actually resistance is like $2.93. But if you can get 50 cents on a $2 stock, it's 25% move. I think most people will be pretty happy with that. So if we can get through there, we do have room up and over to about 315 or so. Not worried about that though. The first move is what we're really looking for, and that is back to 294, $3 area, we'll say, with a long over 241. which will be our first candle over candle since the last big spike we had. So, we're going to look for the bullish confirmation of the bullish move here. The second name we have on watch for Monday is ENV. This one has been tapping resistance area here just under $26. Okay, and we have a very clean chart with room back toward 28. So let me zoom out a little bit here. You can see that it's been a very long time since the stock was trading at these levels, and not since 2012, 2013. If I zoom out a little bit here, you can see that we're trading just under the $26 area. We've tapped it a few times. We did have some earnings where this thing has been in a very big downtrend all year. Let me zoom out here. Ever since, let's see, March of 2015, this thing has been selling off. It has been trading under the moving averages. It tries to pop over them, but it hasn't crossed over the 200 moving average for over a year now, nearly a year, so well over a year. So we're looking for a move back toward that area now that we have a much more bullish chart pattern. This wasn't a big sell-off, lost about 50% of its market cap, a little more, making new lows down at $19. Now you can see again we're having this little top right here after the earnings. This thing kind of flushed everything out here, and we got through all this congestion right here. Now we have to get over $26. Once we get over $26, it is a pretty clear shot to 28. That's 2 points of room. The stock has an ATR of about $1, so expect this move to take about 2 days to get from 26 to 28 bucks. If we get there in 1 day, that's great, but I suspect because it has been such a long time since this traded at the $28 level, that will be a big resistance area from the shorts who were in this a while back here. We might see a little bit of a squeeze in between these lines. There's a light area of any kind of competing action here, so we should get a pretty clean move back to 28. So again, the market, these are both long setups here, ENV and CBK. The market again pulled back here nearly to support. We did close the day green today, however we gapped down and recovered most of the day. So that was the story. Doesn't mean we won't gap down again and tap the 200 mark and buy back up, but because this is a very strong close after in a very strong pattern here, we are holding support. I suspect that probably the bulk of the volatility has been has already occurred to the downside here. We had 2 red days in a row. This was a red day when it started, so I would expect either gap down and recovery or just straight move into the recovery to test that 205 area again, which we'll look for more long setups at that time because I do think that area breaks and we get our next move up here to 210. So those are going to be the areas that are on watch. Trying to find trades that are both long and short every day. Because we never know what the market is going to give us, what's going to happen in Europe or Asia. Those all have influence potentially in what our markets do. So instead of being long bias or short bias or calling a top or bottom, we'll look and evaluate the chart on a pure technical basis, but we'll also understand that the markets are irrational, and just because it looks one way doesn't mean anything, and it can do something completely the opposite. So instead of trying to fight the market trend and what the market wants to give us, I like to have options for both directions. So we looked at our long setups. I do have a short setup here that I want to look at. SRCL. This one is a big runner here. It's up about 20% off the lows following earnings, and now it is testing this 200 moving average. Has not traded near the 200 moving average in quite some time. Let me zoom this out here and get a bigger macro picture for you here. All right, so the only time we traded above the 200 moving average here was in recent history here was back in October. So a big gap down following bad earnings, lost about a third of its market share, market capitalization after this last earnings report, and we did get gap down again, but the buyers came in and they picked it up off the bottom. There's nothing in particular that I like about this trade for a long to the upside. It is still in a big range, as you can see here. 5. trading in a big range since it's gapped down last October, which is fine. It's at the top of that range, but it's doing so in overbought conditions. You can see RSI here is poking its head above 70. RSI is as high as it's been since back in before October when it gapped down. And this thing has not had this much buying momentum in a long time. So I like that as a very bullish long-term setup. But in a very micro, shorter-term sense, we're looking at this for a pullback because this is a big extended green move with about 10, 11 green days in a row here. Overall, in the past 30 days, we have about a 20% move. So again, we're testing this 200 moving average, which we know is going to act as resistance. We're also testing this 125 area, which we know from back in October, it's a resistance spot as well. It's a kind of a pivot. Price action has never really made it above this area. So we can say, all things considered, yes, this is a bullish chart, shorter term here, but because of the overbought conditions and because of the extended daily pattern and because it's bumping into resistance, it is likely due for a small pullback or a breather while people start taking profits. The shorts will try and push it down. We'll get a consolidation period where buyers and sellers change hands, and then I think it ramps back up and maybe breaks this resistance and moves into the gap. This is one that I'm looking to short the pullback on. And then I'd consider getting long over the gap, entry into the gap here, because this is a pretty big gap. Looking for, looking for a short here under this little tiny support area. Okay, I'm going to zoom way in here, and you can see that we're sitting on this little tiny support shelf here at the 123 area. Oops, excuse me, it's probably closer to 123 there. I'm going to look to take a starter on this. I want to get short on this at 124. That's excuse me, I want to get short on this at 123, and I want to add to this on the way down. I'll probably add to this under 122 here, and I'm looking for a target of 120. Where are you? Oops, I had my lines drawn out on my other chart here. Long-term target here, when I say long-term, we're looking over the course of a couple days. Of course, this is only a shorter-term swing trade. Ultimately, long-term target will be near 120. I think we'll probably get to 121 at the very least. How did I come up with those levels? Let me zoom in here real quick, and I'll show you. Let me get rid of this market map because it makes things hard to see when you're looking this closely. Do that. Okay, so you can see these blue lines here. Let me get rid of the boxes too. Alright, so you can see this is our resistance area at 125, this top line. You can see that we're looking to get short on a new candle low here under 123, and then we're looking to ride this bad boy down to 121, which is also the peak right here. It's a pivot. It was a pivot back here, and then while it was resistance at these two spots, it was previous support back here. So previous support has become future resistance. That'll be our first target, 121. Once we blast through that, I think we can come down to 120. Which is probably going to, which is support back in here, resistance in here, and again support back in here. So we're going to see something between the 120 121 area for a target. When it settles and trades sideways for a little bit, the moving averages by then will probably catch up, and we'll have a nice support area around 120. Once we're at that 120 level, we'll look to get long. After we cover our short, we'll look to flip long and scale into a move to the upside for a breakout over the 125 area and the move into this big juicy gap here. So that's the plan on SRCL. I did see somebody had a question here. Awesome. No meat on the smoker, but I am going to get barbecue. I'm going to get a barbecue hamburger and a beer for dinner. We do have a 3-day weekend, so everybody be safe. Have a good time. I'm going to be golfing tomorrow, but I will be around all weekend to answer questions if anybody has any. Shoot me an email, jeff@warriortrading.com, and I'd be more than happy to get back to anything that you guys might need. So other than that, I think this covers the watch list for Monday. Not a big one, but some pretty decent setups. CBK, ENV, and SRCL. I will talk to everybody on Monday evening. I hope you all have a great weekend. Take care.